Oh, folks, there it is. There it officially is. Even delusional David can stop talking about it now. It's officially over. The New Jersey Devils back at the Rock. Drop an ugly one, folks. This one was ugly. No GM fired bump here to speak of. The playoffs are officially over. The New Jersey Devils have been eliminated. Moment of silence for the New Jersey Devils. Terrible game. Oh, bear with me one second. I'm messing with some things here. Terrible game. Not what you want to see from a team in the spot they were in. Obviously, nobody besides delusional David thought this team had any chance of making the playoffs, but would have been nice for them to stay alive for another game or two. But they drop a bad one. Didn't show up tonight, got dominated, and the season is now officially over. And we slowly start shifting towards, obviously, all the other things going on, being the search for the next president and general manager of our New Jersey Devils. And I'm sure we're going to have a lot of talk about all that stuff in a little bit. But cheers to all you guys. I had to break out the hard stuff again. We're going with the Gentleman Jack. Win or lose, we booze. This is the ultimate loss, obviously, the official one. This is a big bottle here. Cheers to all you guys. Tonight's episode brought to you by Gentleman's Jack. Don't just drink regular Jack Daniels. Be a gentleman about it. Gentleman Jack. Available now at your local liquor store retailer. Cheers to all you guys. Cheers to the New Jersey Devils season, even though it was another disappointing one. Another precious season of this core down the tubes. But there is hope on the horizon. Cheers to all of you. Loser beverages. Ooh. Loser beverages for everybody tonight. Because the New Jersey Devils have been eliminated. Terrible. We get to the game. I thought they changed the Zegras goal to somebody else. All right, but Zegras scores a minute 56 in. Second shot of the game. We've seen it with Markey before. Not a good game for Markey. Some of them were, he was left out to dry by the defense. Let's be real. This, again, if you're blaming tonight's loss on Markey, shame on you. He had a bad game, but the team deserted him on several plays. And again, scoring one goal. I mean, not good enough to win, but second shot of the goal, Zegras, Flyers up 1-0. And then a minute and a half later, about on the power play, Zegras strikes again. I thought for sure he was going to get the hat trick. He had, 57 minutes to get the third goal. Did not happen, but Zegras gets his 24th and 25th. Before you blink your eyes, some people were still probably getting hot dogs at the concession stand at the Rock, and it's 2-0 Flyers. Later on in the period, Cody Glass, what originally looked like a Siegenthaler goal and was announced as a goal for Siegenthaler. Cody Glass did a little jump tip in front, his 18th from Siegs, and Lenny Haminaho cuts the lead to 2-1, and at that point, you're like, okay, maybe they claw back, but they did not. Forrester gets a pair of goals in the second to bury us about 2 minutes apart. His 12th and 13th. Flyers up 4-1 at that point, totally in control of the game. And then going into the third period with the commanding 4-1 lead, they tack one on the empty net. Game over, season over. We'll see you boys next year. We got a few games left, but my God, what a tragic, terrible way to just kind of limp to elimination. You would have liked to see more fight, but it was not in the cards. And I can't believe it. Cannot believe it. Oh, actually, so Yeah, I mean, they're done. They're actually technically, I don't think. What do we got on the scoreboard? Hold on 1 second. Yeah, the Sens are up 5-2. So they'll have 92 points. Yeah, so when the Senators game goes final, we will be officially eliminated when the Sens go final. Painful loss, obviously, painful season. We could sit here and lament about it all we want, but it is what it is. We go to the game stats. Flyers 18 shots on goal. My God, right? Like to lose like a game like this, and they scored 5 goals on 18 shots. I wonder if that's the highest shooting percentage in an NHL game. What is that? That's like 28%. That's got to be up there. 18 shots, Flyers, 24 for the Devils. Flyers, 57.4% in the faceoff circle. The Devils, 42.6%. Flyers going 1 for 2 on their power plays. The Devils with the 0 for 3. Flyers, 14 hits. Devils, 16 hits. Flyers, 15 block shots. Devils, 3 block shots. Flyers, 18 giveaways. The Devils also with 18 giveaways. Flyers with 1 takeaway and the Devils with 7 takeaways, but it did not matter. It's all over. Anything worth talking about? Cody Glass, obviously, getting his 18th. Monster season from Cody Glass. Totally exceeded my expectations. I think most of yours. Hopefully he picks this up right where he's leaving off next season. We are going to need him and everyone else to step it up big time. But Cody Glass with the lone goal in this one. 1 shot, 1 block. Nico Hischier, 3 shots. Connor Brown, 2 shots. Timo Meier, 3 shots. Paulie Cotter with 5 hits. Jesper Bratt, 2 shots and 4 hits. Jack Hughes, 5 shots. Brendan Dillon, a shot and 3 hits. Dougie Hamilton, 2 shots. Shimo Nemitz, a shot, a block. Luke Hughes, 2 shots and a hit. Markey, 13 saves on 17 shots. Not a memorable evening for Jacob Markstrom. Guys. Oh, guys. It's been a painful run. Once again, we could sit here and talk about the ineptitude of Fitz, but he's gone now, and hopefully brighter days are ahead. And hopefully, can the camera pick this up? It's hard. Hopefully the future is truly bright. And I need to protect my retinas. Because I think with a new president at the top and a new general manager, we may be entering a truly bright future once again. And it is a long, long time, my friends. About 5.5 months or so until the season's going to start late September, right? Because this 84-game schedule. But my God, you guys know I love the summer. I'm a summer guy. Love all the summer activities, but I will be missing my New Jersey Devils hockey. And it seems like just yesterday we were having this conversation after the Game 5 thumping we took at the hands of the Carolina Hurricanes. Our father, Daddy, can't believe it was almost a year ago. Time really does fly. And it seems like just yesterday, in some ways, we were having this exact conversation. And here we are again without the playoff berth. The season officially over a week before our last game, which will conclude. The season will conclude in Boston against the Bruins. Another one that just kind of slipped away. And I feel like it did happen sort of fast, but it was sort of predictable. We've seen the same movie. And the only thing now we could look towards is the future. The only thing we could look towards is the future. I did tell you all last night that my faith has been restored a bit because the first step in getting this thing back on track was obviously removing Fitz. That needed to be done. It finally happened, and now we sit and wait for the announcements to come out. Hopefully the president is hired sooner than later. I don't like when things like this kind of drag on. I just think they need to get their ducks in a row, get the president, get their GM before other teams start looking, and start formulating the plan internally as to how you are going to fix this mess that Tom Fitzgerald has left behind. but it is going to be a long offseason. There's going to be no shortage of plot lines and stories and rumors and all of that. Basically, I'd imagine from here on out, the rumor mill's gone crazy. People speculating with all kinds of stuff. And yeah, it's absolutely brutal, but this is what happens when Jack Hughes gets injured, unfortunately, with the Devils. They are completely relying on him, and they fell apart once again, and the roster must be tweaked to be insulated from a Jack Hughes injury, because you cannot just crumble up and die the way this team has. But we go to the comments. What's it to you? Says going to be a big fat E next to NJ on the standings after this. Yeah, as soon as that Ottawa score goes final, they're up big. There's a team fighting for their playoff lives, up 6-2 on the Lightning with 2 minutes left. So once that goes final, the E will be getting stamped on the New Jersey Devils in the standings, and it's so sad to see. It was a horror show, Michael. Crazy Alex says season over. David says we suck. A far cry from his playoff banter the last couple games. Michael says at least Markstrom was in the right position on the 5th goal. Yeah, on the bench. Ottawa, yeah, I just said that as soon as Ottawa goes final, we're done. Crazy Alex says Fitz should be happy he doesn't have to deal with his mess anymore. I'm sure he's not. And I do think it would be crazy, in my opinion, if he is hired by the Predators. I would be a little shocked. I mean, I understand he has a tie to the organization. He was their first captain, blah, blah, blah. But what has he done here to warrant getting another gig? It seems crazy to me. But if he gets it, good luck to him. I hope he does better there for them than he did here. Obviously, I hope the Devils crush them every time we play. But will be interesting to see. Husky on Shane, thank God Fitzy got that Markstrom extension done before he left. Another one of the interesting kind of things heading into next season, right? Will this new GM risk going into the season with the current goaltending tandem of Markey and Jake Allen? A little nightmarish, in my opinion. I felt a lot better about it heading into this season, but after what we have seen, definitely cause for concern, obviously. I don't even know how you would fix that in the short term. I guess, one potential solution would be trying to, mend the relationship with Nico Dawes and get him signed. Who knows where his head is at right now? I'm sure the firing of Fitz was music to his ears, because he knew that there was no path to the NHL anytime soon for him as long as Fitz was here, because he was, in love with the Markey Allen tandem. But we will see. David says, another year flushed down the toilet. It certainly was. Joe Mama, embarrassing. I feel bad for the fans that paid to watch that. I do too. Rapid Blue is the new back to somebody else in here. You are 100% right. People who just blame the goalie all the time don't understand the game, and Markey couldn't do anything about at least 2 of those. You don't win many games scoring 1 goal. Yeah, I mean, Markey did not have a great game. He was completely abandoned on some of those. And as I always point out, and it's not just to defend Markey or goalies. I am a Markey guy. I am a goalie guy, I guess. But you're not going to win many games when you score 1 goal. And I don't want to hear the shit of, oh, he gave up the goal, then they were deflated. Like, give me a break. We've had trouble scoring for a huge portion of the season. And, we would have these bursts of a week or a few games where we score a ton of goals. And then we go right back into these abysmal offensive performances. And tonight was another one of them. Even if we had lost 15-1, we scored a single goal, guys. You're not going to win games scoring 1 goal. Ryan H. can't wait till the new management shakes up this roster. 1 goal. Yeah, 1 goal. Drought season is back on. Drought season is back in full swing. Justin says Markstrom needs to be traded, bought out, or retire. These are all things that the new general manager is going to have to figure out at some point along, during this offseason. I do like Markey. I am petrified about him for next season. Rough year for him. Really not a stellar year for Jake Allen numbers-wise. I mean, he did give us solid play in a lot of games, and there was games where his save percentage wasn't great, but he made big stops when it mattered and kept the team in games or preserved wins. But what the hell is this? Man, it sucks. Long way to September. Ryan says, got to try me some Gentleman Jack. It's substantially smoother than the original Jack Daniels. Crazy Alex says, we are eliminated. Sorry, I don't look at the standings. I think he's taking a page out of the Fitzy playbook. Joe Mama says, this first beer's for you, Marky. Cheers to Marky and to the boys. I mean, my God, they clawed for as long as they could, and I'm surprised it really took this long to get eliminated mathematically. But Ryan respects says, the new GM could get out of Marky's contract. He should get his own shrine. Well, I mean, if you buy him out, it is a mess. It is a messy situation. $6 million. Like, it wouldn't be nearly as bad if it was $3 million, but like, my God, $6 million. And again, I'm not going to judge it yet, right? Because this season was bad, but the contract is technically for next season and the season after. And while I certainly understand it is not likely whatsoever that he bounces back next year, just, given his age and everything else, it's just not a likely scenario. $6 million is rough. It's really, really rough. Jason, the decor and the goalie awful tonight. Yeah, for sure. Jay Snow, Flyers put belt to ass all year long. We couldn't beat them. Yeah, they swept us, right? Sad. Mr. Red Jack. Nice to do a no-show in your biggest game of the season. You can't beat your own division. A fitting end for the season. It is kind of a fitting end, right? And it was at home too. Man, the poor people that went out for that game. But, wow. So close, but so far away. The 25-26 New Jersey Devils. And then Justin says, good news, the new GM will turn the team around. If they get it right, I believe that can be possible. For as painful as this team was on many nights, I do think a few right moves could change our fortunes, but it's going to take the hard decisions, and there's many of them. There's a lot of them. The biggest offseason in New Jersey Devils history is upon us for sure. Doug says, Markstrom looks great one night and terrible the next. Zero consistency. It's kind of the story, right? I mean, honestly, the best game he's played all year may have been in the Olympics for Sweden against Team USA. What a scare. I would have been furious. And as it was going into overtime, I was talking to one of my buddies, and I was like, can you believe there's a chance that Team USA's dreams get crushed by Jacob Markstrom, of all people, in Italy? Oh, man. And people were writing funny shit on people were writing funny shit on Twitter and stuff about it. It seemed like it was going to happen. When it was going into overtime, I'm like, this guy is going to stand on his head. We're not even going to get a sniff of the goal, and he's going to beat us. Luckily, that wasn't the case, but follow your boy on X, the Twitter, the X, whatever you want to call it. Link in the chat at Running with NJD. I'm getting more involved on there, fighting a bunch of people here and there, reading some of the dumbest things I've ever read, but it is fun. There is some good stuff on there. There are some people with functioning brains from time to time. They're certainly the minority, but I'm enjoying it. And yeah, follow your boy. Getting in the mix on there. Link in chat at Running with NJD on Twitter. Snow says, how in the world do you have 4 high danger chances the entire game and not one in the third period? Especially when your season's on the line, right? Your mathematical life is on the line, but it's too little, too late, and that's all she wrote. That is all she wrote. Wes says, what do y'all think about putting the C on Jack next season? I don't think it will ever happen with Nico Hischier here. They're not going to just take the C and put it on Jack. Now, if Nico is dealt, then Jack Hughes 1,000% is the next captain of the New Jersey Devils. No doubt about it. Jay Snow, absolute garbage. Don't want to see this group ever again. The exact team, I am with you. I don't want to see this exact team ever again either. Now down the stretch, I would like to see LaChance get a couple games, maybe a couple of the other kids throw in there. Let's see what they got. The season is now officially over. There's no more clinging to pipe dreams and 0.02% chances of making the playoffs. It is all officially over. Let's see if these kids could show some heart in these final games and maybe get an early look at some of these guys before training camp next year. Again, so many question marks surrounding this team once again, and it is up to the new general manager to come in here and clean up the mess left behind. Ride and respect, shed some dead weight, figure out the goaltending tandem, hope the top players have good years, employ systems actually meant for this group, and hope and pray. Yeah, it's a lot of stuff. It's a lot of stuff. Snow says the core needs to be broken up. I've been with you. Unless, like I've said before, somehow they find a way, salary cap-wise, to keep the core here and add another big piece on top of it. But as is, without another big splash, it's not going to happen. We've seen the ceiling for this group, and it is time to figure it out. Joe Mama's the future so bright. Yes, it is. Michael, Dawes Allen, please, before Dawes goes to another team and shuts us out twice during a season. It's going to be interesting how that is handled. The goaltending tandem, what is going to happen with Dawes? Doug Keefe is going to get canned too. I wouldn't be so sure. I would not be so sure. That is going to entirely depend on who the new GM is. Liquid Sky, same thing is going to happen. Jack gets hurt and the whole team collapses. I certainly hope that doesn't happen. And the somewhat encouraging thing is that he wasn't hurt during a game this year, or severely hurt. Sorry, he did have that small injury, lower body thing before the Olympics, but no major injuries sustained during the season on the ice. His only major injury occurred in a steakhouse. And so maybe we're getting one step closer towards a 75-plus game season for Jack Hughes. And if he does that next year, I do think he will easily put up 110-plus points and be one of the best players in the game. Let's see if he could get it done. Oh, you don't know me? Does Nico want out? I talked about this on a live earlier regarding, the players talking to the media for the first time since Fitz was fired. And I will say that I do think tons of people ran with narratives and nonsense that is not particularly true. I don't think anyone knows where Nico's head's at right now. I do think, he's probably on the fence about all of it. And there's a lot of pieces in motion before he could even remotely wrap his head around, deciding what he wants to do. We don't even know who the GM is going to be yet. And so I do think Nico is very much undecided, and the new GM and Nico, I am sure, will talk and figure out the best course of action going forward, whether that is Nico signing the extension here with the Jersey Devils or if he's ultimately dealt elsewhere. A big, big potential bombshell on the horizon. Justin Smith, should the new GM fire the entire coaching staff? I've defended Keefe over and over because I do think the primary culprit in the team's struggles for the past few years, I've told you guys a million times, I believe it was Fitz. And then to me, if you go to the second tier of blame, I'm putting it on the players themselves. Shooting at record low percentages, not being able to finish any opportunities. And I understand all the people are like, Keefe's system and this and that. In the end, Sheldon Keefe is not making dudes miss on breakaways, missing the net, failing to convert on odd man rushes, failing to get to loose pucks in the crease. Like, there's just so many plays where you're like, either we're the most unlucky team, or this team or some of these guys are a little bit overrated, a combination of both. But either way, I have Keefe last on the list in terms of who has the most blood on their hands, and Fitz was number one to me, and the players themselves are number two. And so I do think Keefe should get at least next season, maybe with a short leash. If we get out of the gate and look terrible, then maybe you look to make the change then, but I think he should at least get the opportunity. Ryan and respect needs to structure the team so that when Jack is out, the collapse never happens again. Yeah, that's going to bring team needs restructuring for sure. That's going to require bringing in some guys that can step up in his absence and not go missing in action. This year, we saw pretty much everybody go missing in action when Jack went down, and it's ultimately why we're not in the playoffs. It's unfortunate. Ryan and respect, I think Keefe will probably start next season, but if it isn't looking good, the new GM will can him early. I'm on board with that plan. Jay Snow, the Flyers are making the playoffs and we're in the basement. Yeah, they turned it around. Wes said, should we put the C on Jack next season? If Timo's not here, if Nico's not here, in no circumstance am I a fan of ripping the C off of a guy. I just think it's absurd and pretty, I guess I would say, kind of bush league, and just, it's not a good look. I know a lot of people have talked about it, but I'm just not on board with that. And again, if Nico was dealt, then absolutely Jack is clearly the choice for the next captain of the New Jersey Devils. But we'll see how that saga all plays out. Snow says the E has been there before the Olympics. I mean, at least in my head, but people like to see it official. As long as there's any sort of mathematical chance, people will hope and wish. Michael Timo says the C should be on Brady next year. So I would love to see Brady here. Not a fan. And as much as I love Brady, my favorite non-New Jersey Devils player in this entire league, I'm not a fan of putting the C on an incoming guy in a situation like that. Brady Tkachuk, while the captain of the Ottawa Senators, he certainly does not need a letter on his jersey to do what he does and bring his leadership and value to any team he's on. And so I would not be concerned about it whatsoever. In a hypothetical world, if Nico was not here and Brady was somehow, whether in the same deal or a separate deal, I'm not suggesting you trade them for each other. I'm just saying in a world where Nico's traded somewhere and Brady comes in, then I certainly would put the C on Jack and give Jack's A to Brady Tkachuk. That is a plausible scenario in that situation. David S. Reality has said it now. Ace Delusional Dave is now at rock bottom. I mean, Dave, if you truly believe they were going to make it this whole way, then props to you for being the most optimistic person I've conversed with in quite some time. I knew it was over for a very long time. I've told everyone here I had my own little funeral for the season at home one day, and it was sad, but it was pretty apparent to a lot of us a long time ago. And we now look towards September. Jason said Ottawa's going to make the playoffs. That's not good if we want Brady to leave. I think you're looking too much into it, Snow. Making it into the playoffs, and they'll likely get ousted pretty quick. Let's be real. They're not going to be a contender before the Devils. And I'm hoping, that the GM comes in and has some clue of what they're doing. And I do believe they're going to bring in somebody competent. We should be way more favored. And this obviously has meant nothing for the past several seasons, but we should be a much more likely cup contender than Ottawa next season, I do believe, even if Ottawa makes the playoffs. And that doesn't change the fact that it's still Ottawa, with all due respect to Ottawa, not a desirable NHL city by any stretch of the imagination. And it's certainly not desirable to an American kid like Brady Tkachuk. But then all the shit with the media and just a lot of turmoil. And I think maybe similar to the Nico situation here, and I'm not saying they're the same, but there are maybe some parallels in that maybe the relationship has kind of run its course and Brady will be looking to move on. And if so, I would love nothing more than to see that man in the black and red in New Jersey for the Devils. And I honestly don't think making the playoffs is going to make much of a difference, in my opinion. I think he's going to want out of there regardless. Ride and respect, only an idiot would test out this tandem again. I wouldn't be furious if we go into the season if it seems as though there's some sort of contingency plan. And I think any normal GM, obviously that doesn't include Fitz, would have a plan. So let's just say hypothetically, I don't even know how you sell this to Dawes. Somehow they sign Dawes as an RFA and he starts in Utica and they're like, listen, we're giving these guys a very short leash. The second they show any sign of weakness, we're bringing you in and you'll never go back down. Outside of something like that, I don't necessarily know what the plan could be. If you truly go into next season with the same tandem, it's probably not going to be that easy to get any sort of legitimate goalie early on in the year. So it is an interesting thing. Does it get handled in the summer or is it a wait and see approach? I don't really know, but times like this really make myself and my good buddy Steve the Maniac, we talk about it regularly. Imagine if Fitz just sacked up, and who even knows if this is true, but there's a lot of rumors, so I believe there's some truth to it. If Fitz sacked up and made the deal for Connor Hellebuck a few summers ago, everything would be so different. It's crazy. Completely crazy. Click this. And on April 7th, the day after, a day that will live in franchise history, the day after April 6th, when Fitz was relieved of his duties, there it is, folks. The Eastern Conference playoff standings, and there in 7th place, the New Jersey Devils have just earned They're branded that E stamp for eliminated. It is all over. The Devils at 83 points with 3 games remaining, with the maximum points they could finish the season with, even if they run the table and going 3-0 the rest of the way, they would finish with 89 points, which is not good enough to sneak into third in the Metro or the second wild card spot. You are eliminated, and it's all over. There it is, folks. The first scene. The New Jersey Devils officially eliminated from playoff contention. And it's a sad night, but we knew it was coming, one that we knew was coming for a very long time. And we look towards September. Ryan respects the Chicago cut is easily number 1. Team was never the same after that. Oh, that ruined the season for sure. It shouldn't have. It should have just been a bump in the road that we could have overcame, but not this group, not this year. Terrible. Jersey 61, this new GM has a lot of work to do. I think that is a slight understatement. There is a ton of work to do, but all we got is faith, man. The first step has happened. Fitz was relieved of his duties, and that is all you could hope for at the moment. Now, obviously, they need to get these next hires right, but that's how it starts. It starts with recognizing the problem once and for all, Tom Fitzgerald, and moving on to the future with a new executive team. And that we shall. And I'm expecting it to be named soon. I mean, the longer this goes on, I become more uneasy about it. Riot and respect. Chicago cut also exposed the depth issues this team has and put them on full display. Need more guys that can be relied on to actually pick up the slack. Yeah, I mean, to me, full indictment on everybody that disappeared when Jack Hughes went down. The big guns got to be the big guns. They were not. And as a result, golf season starts for these boys in a week. David S. Markey is done 36 and aging. Not trying to be negative, but he won't be any better next year. I'm already writing him off. Sorry, Ace. I mean, that's obviously the likely scenario. I hope some miracle happens and he comes back rested up and looks amazing. I understand that that's not likely, but that's all we can do is hope for it, or that a new GM figures something else out. But absolutely brutal. Corey, Ace meant to say it earlier today, so I'm not piling on Markey, but think we're better off with Bob and Dawes for 3 years than what we have. 3 for $25 million maybe gets Bob signed. Isn't he? I mean, you're talking about another old goalie. Is someone really going to pay him $8 million? I mean, that'd be crazy. I mean, it's not much crazier than Markey getting 6, I guess, right? I would like to see a younger guy. I would take a shot on a younger guy, but my God. Yeah, I mean, trading one old guy for another, I don't know how I feel about that. Mr. Red Jack says, Mark Shimashoni is not a number 1 for this team. Alan Ace, let's face it, we're in deep shit with both of our goalies, man. You guys are doom and heavy tonight. CNJ Dev, good luck, everyone. At least Florida isn't winning it again. Ryan and respect, I hope Sabres do well. Good for Lindy. It was never his fault here. Yeah, I agree. I didn't blame him fully, but I just thought that kind of situation ran its course and it was time to move on. But the Sabres look like a legitimate behemoth. James, Gentleman Jack is smooth. I'm not a shot person, but I could do shots of that all day. It is pretty damn smooth. DK Jersey Devil, trade Markstrom. You cannot get a bag of pucks from Markstrom. Fitz extending him baffles me. Where was he going? I do think this was kind of Fitz making good on like a verbal promise or whatever at some point. We don't have confirmation of that, but it seems like nothing else would make sense given the timing of that. I don't know. It's a super bizarre extension when it all happened. It's super, super strange, but maybe we'll get some clarity on that at some point, probably no time soon. Ryan H., I'm excited to see what happens at the draft. Maybe with new management, we'll do something substantial for a win now movement. Yeah, trade the pick. Do not draft with the pick. I don't even want to look at anything about prospects because I don't care about any of it. Win now. Right now. Doug says Dawes should get called up now and get NHL time these last 4 games. That's an interesting idea. But like in meaningless games where maybe some of the guys are checked out and Dawes is probably super furious. Yep. with the team. I don't know, like, are you going to put that much weight into the games, whether he plays great or bad? It's just a hard, meaningless game to try to gauge, but it'll give you some idea. I like the idea, but I'm already a Dawes guy. Like, what that means exactly, I don't know. But I've always liked Dawes. He looked good in the one game he played for the Devils this year. I happened to be there. It was against Minnesota. Big win. He only gave up 1 goal. His numbers in a very small sample size last season were very good, and he's shown signs of promise throughout his time with the Devils. Think he kind of got a raw deal here, like similar to Akira Schmid, but it is what it is. James says, if I'm the new GM, first thing I'm doing is interviewing every player separately, finding out who cares and who doesn't. If you don't, you're out. Next time, buying out Markey's contract. Michael says, anyone pull the Golden Burst Matt 25-26 upper deck card? What is that? Matt who? Matthew Schaefer? My nephews were ripping some cards the other day. Devs 95. NJD, why are we even talking about Nico being dealt? Because it's a realistic possibility, and I'm just talking about the potential roads a new GM goes down. Obviously, Nico being traded is a very realistic scenario. I'm not saying I want that to happen, and I'm not predicting it to happen. Part of this is in response to everyone running wild with his interview with the media earlier today after practice. So many people were reading into it going, oh, Nico's definitely gone, and Nico blah, blah, blah. And I said on a live hours ago that I think it was all blown out of proportion. I don't take any of that away from what he had said. And I think he gave a very, political kind of blah answer to, answer the question, but not really go into it too much. And he said, I'm a Devil for now. I have a year left. And so many people took that as if he insulted the organization and said he was definitely leaving, which is not the case. But you would be naive to believe that Nico telling the team he doesn't want to sign an extension. You have to realize that is a possibility. That is for sure a possibility. Snow says, I agree, bring some kids up. Yeah, I want to see some kids. I'm down with the Dawes idea. I like that, whoever threw that out there. I want to see LeChance. I want to see any of these guys that are going to be hungry and look to maybe, open the eyes of at least the current coaching staff and maybe garner some attention or hype maybe going into next year's training camp. Devs N95 NJD says, you begged for the GM to be fired, and now we're on that. Everyone wanted the GM fired. Anyone with a brain wanted the GM fired. You would be an enemy of the state or part of the Fitzgerald family if you did not want Fitz fired. Unfortunately, he, like I've said many times, he seems like a nice guy. Probably would love having beers with him. Just don't want him as the GM of my favorite hockey team. I'm so sorry. Ride and respect, Nico has 1 year left and is eligible for an extension in July. If he drags it out and doesn't seem like he will resign, he will be dealt. I believe that is correct. Oh, you don't know me. How is Casey developing? Hard to get a grip on that. I think he had a couple different injuries. But even before he was injured, the fact that the Devils called up several other guys to play defense when he was available kind of was a little bit of a shock to the system, maybe. I think many people assumed he would be amongst the first call-ups on D, and he wasn't. And I will say, I always forget, shout out to Colton White, one of the defensemen that came up when we were injured on defense. He played 23 games earlier for the Devils in the earlier in the season. What is his? And I do think, I don't know. I don't know that it would be. Yeah, he's in his second year, and he's 28. Yeah, I wouldn't mind him getting a deal. We have some pieces that could be potential budget fixes if the new GM wanted to gamble a little bit on defense. I don't think it'd be a great idea, but there is a world potentially where we could have a somewhat okay patchwork defense for the time being without Dougie Hamilton or Shimo Nemitz. Again, I think it would be wild to get rid of both of them, but could it be a possibility? I think it could. I definitely think that it could. And that would free up some money for other positional needs. Ride and respect. Don't get me wrong. Nico probably resigns. However, if it's looking iffy, whoever the new GM is will look to get a haul. I'm sure there'd be a ton of teams willing to send a nice package for him. Saravo Broadcasting 24. Very soft core week. Not like when Scott Stevens had teams terrified. Believe me, nobody's scared of this group. Sad, very sad. We need toughness back. We need tough guys. Opposition love us. I want this team to be harder to play against. I want some real nasty guys out there. Bring in the script, bring in the pain, but preferably nasty guys. And I wouldn't mind, I don't know where they believe they're at in their timeline, but a guy I'd mentioned a couple summers ago when he was an unrestricted free agent, I would love a guy like Tyler Bertuzzi. Nasty Mo. That's the kind of guy I want. Tyler Bertuzzi would be a really nice fit here. Jay Snow says we need a magician for a GM to make Markey's contract disappear. I would love to see a line of, I think Bertuzzi's a left winger. Let me double check. Yeah, left winger. Tyler Bertuzzi on the left, Nico Hischier, and Timo Meier on his natural right wing. That line could certainly be interesting. Devil Heaven says, how about positive Devs fans? I don't know what that's in reference to. Dan, it's not. Dan is not Stan. Or is that Danny Snots 10? Interesting. The game was over before it really began. Keefe continues to not call timeouts, not pull his goalie, and seemingly just let the ship sink. I don't get it. I've complained about the lack of using timeouts in situations where I thought it was warranted. I don't know. I mean, what we're going to pull Markey after the second goal? I mean, the season's been over. I get it. It's just, yeah. I mean, I get it, but I just feel like this team is just so broken that doesn't even matter in a game like this. But yeah, when your season's on the line, Saravo, Nico hasn't won shit with us. He owes us nothing. Doesn't have to stay up to him. Just like you'd accept a job that benefits you, they have that right too. I completely agree, and I've said multiple times, he would probably be the first guy that if he left in free agency, I would have no ill feelings towards him whatsoever because of how everything played out during his time here. But I do think there is a chance that he's maybe going to be somewhat revitalized by a new general manager coming in here. Ride and respect. The big positive for this season was the mental awakening of Jack Hughes. Regarding media interviews, scoring, playmaking, dude just seems like his mindset officially leveled up. Whole new player after the Olympics. I've talked about this a million times. On and off the ice, Jack Hughes, he went to Milano, Italy, entrenched in Team USA, the USA Brotherhood. He scores, has a great tournament, even up to the gold medal game, scores the golden goal, and literally became a new person. I'm going to say the moment the puck went in the net. Like, he scores the goal, has the crazy celebration. You see him throw the helmet up in the air, mobbing with the boys. And then he comes off the ice and does that interview with Catherine Tappan in like the little tunnel thing. One of my, I think it's actually my number one favorite interview of all time now. If you haven't seen it, it's an absolute masterpiece. He comes off the ice and he's like, I love my country. This is all about our country right now. The USA Hockey Brotherhood is so strong. All the support from former players. I'm just so proud of everybody. It was like the greatest speech ever. And then you see the photo of him with the flag in his fist. I mean, everything about this kid is different since he came back. It really is phenomenal to see. And something I had talked about leading up to the Olympics. I told everybody, experiences like this are precious for kids like Jack. To go in a room and be with these guys in this Olympic experience for weeks on end is phenomenal experience you can't get elsewhere. And I said, I believe it will serve him well as a New Jersey Devil. Talked about it multiple times. I'm sure many of you were there. And it not only did it do that, it did it to a level that I don't think I ever could have perceived. Like, it is like dramatic. I was hoping for a little bit of a bump, But what we've seen, even with the interviews, the stuff on the ice, the latest chapter we saw the other night against Montreal after Dilly has the scrap, he picked, when Jack got popped and Dilly came in and fought, he picked up Dylan's shit, brought it to him in the box and hugged him and was hitting him on the head. Like that's captain type stuff. And it seems like he's kind of taken that role on now, I would say, in the past few weeks, really head on. Devil Heaven 77, clean front office. Kiefer stays, continue chemistry. I like it. Nomar says, no way Keefe deserves to be fired just as much as Fitzgerald. He did not put his players in a position to excel. I have to disagree. I just have to disagree. Jay Snow, our forward group is way too soft. I agree with that. Totally agree with that. Have wanted to see the script for a while. Tyler Bertuzzi, welcome to my list. He's been on my list forever. I don't know where Chicago thinks they are, but can we strike up a deal with them? Would love to kick tires on him. Yeah, I hate it. I've toggled between, in the past couple of weeks now, like heat and air conditioning several times each. I'm totally over it and just want the warm weather for good. Saravo Broadcasting, listen to you on the car ride home. Much appreciated and respect. Shout out to Saravo. Did you go to the game, Saravo Broadcasting? Were you at that cluster? There's no jam up front. Tyler Bertuzzi. Let's go. John T says, all anyone remembers is the players performing in the playoffs. Couldn't care less how many regular season points Jack gets. I have very little confidence he will stand up to playoff physicality. Well, we got to get there first. But hopefully you are proven incorrect when we do get there, which is hopefully next season. Hopefully next season, Jack takes the next step forward in his NHL maturation process and has a monster playoffs. Traveling Devil, the C should not be on Brady during his first year with the new team. If it's Jack C if Nico goes. 100% agree with that. Renditch, this would never happen, but imagine we trade Nico and Nemo for a Quinn or Brady and then pick up Larkin somehow in a buy low situation to fill the 2C gap. Someone, I forget who, posted something about Larkin. And look, if somehow we went into next season without, and I love Nico and I love Nemo too. But if I'm being honest, if you said, and not direct swaps, but say there was other pieces, whatever, but the main pieces were Nico and Nemo not on the roster for next year, but Brady and Larkin was, I would certainly say sign me up for that. That is definitely a massive step in the right direction, in my opinion, and shifting the identity and culture of this team once and for all, something that has been long overdue. Jason says Ottawa's closer than us. They've at least made back-to-back playoffs. Yeah, but I guarantee you, Snow, and again, not that it's the final thing, the final, end-all, be-all, but even if they make it to the playoffs this year, which it seems like they will, I bet you we are, more favored, a bigger favorite to win the cup next year than they are. World's Worst Gamer says Ottawa's underlying stats have said they are a far better team than where they are in the standings. That's interesting. Ottawa's not a bad team. They had no goaltending for a long time. Curious to see what happens with the Olmark situation. That's a very bizarre one. John T, forget Brady. He's Vegas torts bound. Get Nyes and Tuck. I would sign up for that in a heartbeat. Nyes and Tuck. I do think Tuck stays in Buffalo and he's going to get paid for sure. But I think that's where he wants to be and he's going to get paid. Last night it was pretty funny. After the game, he dropped an F-bomb and they kept playing the interview on NHL Network because he was talking very fast after the game. I don't think that they realized that he dropped it. I had to rewind it and I'm like, did he just, and then I rewound it. I'm like, yeah, they totally missed it because he was kind of huffing and puffing and talking fast, but I thought that was pretty funny, but he's an absolute monster. Ryder64, I really like Nemitz and want him to stay, but it has to be conditional. He has to play defense first or he can pack his bags. That's my final thought on the matter. One of my buddies is always like, look at this guy, Nemo. All he wants to do is play offense because he does pinch in a lot. And, you see him super far in the ozone. But I think Nemo is going to be a great defenseman, whether it's here or somewhere else. Traveling says Ottawa is a better team until the new GM hopefully rights this ship. I think even with the team as is with the healthy Jack Hughes, honestly, would be Vegas odds-wise a bigger cup favorite. And never mind if a new GM comes in here and makes a couple meaningful tweaks. Liquid Sky says Dougie Hamilton is getting traded. I'm not so sure of that. CNJ Dev, I think people are only mad with Keefe not holding the players accountable enough. I think you're right, though. Short leash next season. It seems like a reasonable approach to the whole thing. Right, and respect, Helly would have dragged them to the playoffs this year. I'm a Helly guy. World's Worst Gamer, not sure if you read my super chat last night, but I'll repeat what I said. No Shanna Plan 2.0, at least not an NJ. He's going to be the president, and hopefully he brings in the right GM. But I'm pretty sure Shanny is going to be the guy. Jeff Marek was discussing the idea of a Nico Hischier trade to Ottawa. I would hate for him to get traded, but I wonder what potential trade offers would look like. You'd get a good amount for him, but you're not going to get some of the crazy packages that people probably believe. And I do think that in the event that you do have to trade Nico because he says he's not re-signing here, I think you need to make sure that you're trading him towards an impact piece coming back. David Chimes, who do you want in playoffs between Ottawa, Flyers, Isles, CBJ, and Wings? 5 teams, 2 available spots. On that list, definitely the Isles. Probably Isles. I guess I'd go Isles and Jackets probably. Swamp Fox, Zaka with his 30th goal of the season tonight. My God. I knew he was doing well. I didn't realize he potted 30. Zach has become a beast. Good for him. SJ said, hell, he wanted to be a Devil. That would have been amazing. World's Worst Gamer. Depending on Edmonton's playoff run, they may have interest in our goalies if we want to get rid of them. Would they want to go there is a whole separate thing. David Chimes says, don't know if Austin is here, but enjoyed his Fitz fired celebration. Man, I think the fan base collectively hasn't celebrated something so joyously since that Game 7 victory over the Rangers in 2023. BK, I actually feel at peace knowing we're now mathematically eliminated, likely because I knew since December. It's unfortunate. Super unfortunate. Ryan, respect, after the 9-0 Islanders beating, should have been Fitz's last day. I agree with that as well. All right, I fell behind here. I got to catch up. James, they need to hire the new GM fast because he needs to get cracking ASAP. Well, they're going to need the president first. Going to need to get the president first, and then hopefully get the GM in place. CNJ Dev, after doing Jack at the trade deadline, Fitz should have been gone. There is a chance probably that that the owners handcuffed him and said you can't do anything. That is a very real possibility now, given the way everything has played out. I'd have to believe there's at least a chance there. Justin says, Ace, they have 4 games remaining. Did I say 3 earlier? I'm out of it. Sleep deprived. But yeah, so even with 4 games, 8 points, the highest you could get is 91, and that will not be good enough to catch either team currently in those spots with 92. And so it's over. Car Canes, what's with you guys and Brady? Has he ever been linked? I mean, not linked outside of anyone with half a brain saying he literally is the exact piece that we need. And then on top of that, his wife is from New Jersey. He has a summer home in New Jersey where he spends a lot of the summer. He is boys with Jack Hughes, obviously gold medal teammates. They've known each other since they were kids. They would be a dynamic duo playing together. And so there's been no official link outside of connecting the dots, and that A, he would be the ideal type of player to add to our roster, and then B, all the linkages between Brady and both the state of New Jersey and our franchise player, Jack Hughes. Ryan Demand says, put a pitchfork in this one. Samuel, turn out the lights. The party's over. Yeah, it's over. David said, I feel like I was watching the Titanic for the last 3 weeks and the ship just sunk tonight. Really sucks. Samuel Allen could be a backup, but backup for who? I mean, you'd be rolling the dice on Dawes. I feel like you're in a rolling the dice scenario no matter what now. Obviously Markstrom rolling the dice. If you sign Dawes and push him in that spot, rolling the dice, or you can go to market and see who's out there. Let me just see something. But it's all going to be iffy. There's no surefire thing outside of trading for a bona fide starter, which don't grow on trees. Yeah, I mean, this list is brutal, man. Oh my God. Yeah, you guys want Stuart Skinner? You want to bring in Jonathan Quick at 40? I mean, it's bad. Vanacek's unrestricted, guys. Anyone want in on Vanacek? Capo Kakinen, also unrestricted. I mean, this list is dog shit. Yeah, the goalie situation is not good at all. Unless they take a gamble on one of the kids in the system, Tyler Brennan. But Akira Schmid is unrestricted. Let's go. I'm not going to lie. I would love to see Akira Schmid brought back. And I think with Fitz not being here, there's a chance that he may consider it. Akira Schmid, I'll take my chance. I have to, on paper, seems like a more stable scenario than Markey. Ride and respect, Markstrom made out like a bandit, and good for him getting his bag highway robbery. Yeah, I think that deal was negotiated sometime well before, and then Fitz just had to swallow his medicine and keep his word. My man Brian Turco, do you consider playing Markey next year a win now idea? Absolutely not. But what other choice do they have? The new GM's going to have to figure it out, but I'm terrified. I'm willing to go into the season and give him like a 3-game stretch and be like, this is it. This is the last 3 games. Like, if you bomb, it's all over. And most likely it would not go well. But who knows? Maybe get some sort of cryogenic therapy, or go to one of those reverse aging fountains or something this summer and come back a different guy next year. But I'm realistic about it and realize that is certainly not likely to happen. Unbelievable. Playoffs. David chimes, Bobrovsky seemed to be aging like poop until he bounced back at an older age. Don't like Markey at $6 million trade protected, but not all out dooming. We're at $3 million no protection. It factors age risk. Yeah, but we're in trouble with that one. Traveling, why would Dawes want to play with a checked out team? It would screw up his deal for a new team. Well, I mean, if they call him up, he's not going to be like, I'm not going to play. And it's still NHL time. So I don't think they'll do it, though, but it is an interesting idea. Corey Robinson, agree, Ace. Bob is old, probably has 2 or 3 years left in a good situation, but I hear your thoughts on Binnington. He's a gamer. I think he's 34. The goaltending thing is it's been a pain point forever. I do think, as you guys know, that I do think this team should be in win now mode. I would take a shot on Binner if nothing else popped up. What is his situation? Yeah, a lot of goalies with shit numbers this year. Binners aren't any good, but I've always liked him. He's another fiery dog. I would take Binnington over Bobrovsky probably, but I would try to get a guy that you could have for a little bit longer than a couple years. But if that's the best thing that pops up and it's a couple years, so be it. They need to literally lock in and try to win now. The goal should be like, we need to win a cup in the next 3 years. Like, that's going to be your best chance, because after that, then you're talking about whatever core guys here, again, minus Jack, are going to be 30 years old or older. And according to all you guys, after a guy turns 30, they're so washed up, bro. And you're checking them into the, the old man clinic and their cripples and all of this. So for all those people that think guys are dead at 30, look out, folks, because our boys are going to be coming up on that magical 3-0 before you know it. David Chime says Dawes would be thrilled beyond belief getting a chance in the NHL anywhere, even Vancouver. Completely agree with that. World's Worst Gamer says you got to be stupid to trade Nico. If he tells the team he's not signing here, then you must trade him. I mean, that's it. That would be him forcing their hand. CNJ Dev, the only reason to trade Nico is if he makes it clear he wants to leave. That's what I've been saying the whole time. Travel and Nico should just insult the organization. World's Worst Gamer, two-way player that could produce decently offensively. Hopefully he produces more in the future. Yeah, we're talking about if he says he doesn't want to be here. Gritty123, remember in November when you guys told me to come back later in the year and the Flyers aren't in the playoffs and the Devils are well on their way? I don't remember that, Gritty, but enjoy your victory dance if that did in fact happen. I mean, you're not in yet, but it's looking like, let me go back to this. I can't believe the Islanders blew it. We didn't do them any favors tonight either. It would have been huge for the Islanders if we beat the Flyers tonight. We screwed over the Islanders by not showing up. Tasha says, give a chance, please. I would love to see LeChance in there. Samuel says, if I was Nico, the door wouldn't be fast enough to hit me on the ass on the way out. That's where I'm kind of at. But the new GM could change things because now all of the prior season's sins did not happen on this new GM's watch. David S. Ace, you always want ideas. Make a poll on what the first move during the offseason will be. Keep fired, free agent signing, trade, or someone gets bought out. And put it where? Put the poll where? World's Worst Gamer, Nico is one of the few players on this roster that could have played for the old Stanley Cup winning Devils teams. There's a few others, but yeah, he would be one for sure. Yeah, Colton White. Forgotten about dude, but was a solid soldier for us earlier in the season. Tasha, love me some Colton White, dude. Saved us. Right and respect. I remember being pissed when they didn't bring him back up. I think you're talking about Casey there. Samuel, Casey's a small offensive D-man. Yeah, we need another. David Chimes, do you read anything big into Fitz saying he had differences in the direction the owners want to take? Simply a face saver, or are the owners planning something crazy? No, I need to go back. I don't remember that. Yeah, I didn't see any of that in the quote. What was I'd be curious what you're talking about. So I could decipher Snow here. Fitz love to draft undersized players. Ryan Respect says next season will determine Nico's future. Granted, his mind isn't already made up. Team absolutely needs to make playoffs at a minimum. Ryan and Respect, it's likely not going to get that far, my guy. If he doesn't sign the extension this summer, he should be immediately traded. And if we bring in a no-nonsense GM, that is exactly what they will do. They will say, okay, young man, are you going to sign the extension? And if he says, I think I'm going to test free agency, they're going to say, bye-bye, and they should. You trade his ass the next day or within a couple days. I mean, you have no other choice. David Chimes also likes Bertuzzi. Triple H, another crap game at home, no less. Shani for president of Hockey Ops. Sonny Meta for GM. Cassidy for head coach. I'm not a Cassidy guy per se. I think Shani and Sonny Meta could be interesting. I think Shani and some other GMs would also be interesting. I'm not so quick to give up on Kiefer just yet. Frank, when Nico was drafted, my son was in 8th grade. Now he's graduating college. 8 brutal years for him. Why would he resign? The only thing I could come up with is that, he will have faith in whoever the new GM is. I do think if Fitz was here, he was firmly gonna leave. World's Worst Gamer says Nico in LA probably is a very likely scenario if he leaves. I mean, you have to realize if he's not with the Devils long term, the Devils are trading him. So it's not like he's going to get to pick where he goes. He may have a he will have a say in it because I believe he has trade protection as well. But he's not going to like handpick his destination like you'd be able to in unrestricted free agency. 109 watching, only 24 likes. How about ice? Thanks. Hit the thumbs up, you stingy people. And if you're not subscribed, hit the subscribe button. What are you waiting for? And it's Dan is not Stan. That's what I figured. But Danny Snots 10 is also funny. But I figured it was Dan. It's Dan is not Stan. Welcome to Carolina, Nico. That would make me sick. That would absolutely make me sick. We got a Let's Go Flyers. Traveling says Jack felt what winning was like and wants more. Yeah. I would love to see Jack pumping a cup with a Devils jersey on. It'd be phenomenal. Samuel 99 couldn't do it alone. This team needs to be able to play with or without Jack. Completely agree there. Benjamin says Lindy was the problem. He's kicking ass. Our problem was and is the core. I've said it plenty of times. Riot and respect, not only that, but he reiterated time and time again that he loves being a New Jersey Devil. Guys in that moment could focus on anything on the golden goal. He really does love this team and want the best. And I want to see our new GM put a winning team around him more than anything. John Fay, I was at the game watching us get eliminated. Didn't even cheer me score. Just watched and judged heavily. It's brutal. Oh, snap. David Chimes is looking for any update on the pre-date. I believe the pre-date for that young man, his name is escaping me at the moment. I'm terrible at this, by the way. I need to get better. I sometimes remember if I make a linkage or like I have a couple tricks to remember names and his name is I can't remember, but I believe his pre-date was for the Penguins game. So I guess that's Thursday night dinner. This is quite the pre-date, by the way. And I've never went on a pre-date, but this is a pre-date that consists of a dinner, the Devils Penguins game, and then the third and final step of the pre-date is the sleepover. Very, very peculiar. Jason, I think Chicago is going to start adding. I don't think Bertuzzi is, I guess, available, but I'd love the move. BK says, if Saravo is my boy Dougie Saravo, yes, he was there tonight. I can't scroll back up to where his comment was. There was a first name on his logo, but Tasha says, honestly, so puke-worthy, but Nico would be a perfect fit with the Canes. He'd be the perfect fit on a lot of teams. David S., everyone needs to pump the brakes on Nico. This is why social media sucks, blows everything out of proportion. I agree that the quotes were completely blown out of proportion and people making shit up and making these inferences that weren't there based on what he said. But that does not change the fact of the reality that is the current situation with him, which is if we go into the summer and he tells the new GM he wants to test free agency, he will be dealt. That is a fact. Completely aside from what his comments were, but that is just the reality of a situation with a guy like Nico when an extension is not signed. That's just, it is what it is. Ryan and respect, Larkin would be sick. I'd love Larkin. CNJ Dev, the only reason Nico gets traded next season is if he makes it clear he wants out, which he might do. He may not, but that is possible. Tasha says, dog, that sounds like you're just trying to make up Team USA. I'll take it. I will take it. Saravo says, unfortunately, but in a good mood now because of the stream. I mean, I'm not in a good mood. I mean, it's unfortunate that we are where we are. But, guys, hold on. Let me just... Let me protect those retinas because hopefully there'll be a truly bright future. Very, very soon. Very, very soon. Tasha, stop it. Have you not learned anything here, Tasha? I am so disappointed. I am so disappointed in you, Tasha. We've taught you nothing. Dylan Larkin is all of 29 damn years old. Stop your baloney, please. Stop the baloney. Jason says, I'm done with hearing the Devils are a contender. They need to prove it. I'm completely with you. Completely with you. Tasha says maybe we should take a swing, swap Allmark and Markey. Anyone? I don't know. Allmark seems like a complete head case. I just would love a bona fide number one goalie, and I really just keep thinking back to those Hellebuck rumors. It would have been phenomenal if we got Hellebuck. It did not happen. It seemed like the goaltending situation was somewhat solidified when we got Markey, but like many, and I will say I was wrong. I mean, he gave us some good stretches of play, but he was injured several times. And, you know, when people were concerned about the age, I mean, that obviously, you know, did play a factor here. But goaltenders, I think, are wildly different. Just look what Sid's doing. I mean, for every guy that people use as an example of, you know, an older guy falling apart and or sucking, there are guys like Sid that are getting it done at a high level at an old age. True marvels of the game. Jason Nelson, I'm sick of the Devils offseason hype every year. I get it. World's Worst Gamer says we are the Leafs 2.0, which is why, which by the way is why we don't need Shanny here. Well, if we're the Leafs 2.0, we did that all on our own without Shanny. So I will certainly take my chances with a guy like him. David S., the fan saying trade Nico in a package for Brady. If he's only signed until next year, I doubt any team will take him unless they know he'll sign long-term after the trade. So rule Nico out of trades. You also have a sign and trade scenario as well. I mean, he could be signed and then dealt. You could extend him and then deal him to get the value for the other team. I'm not concerned about that. Austin comes back against the Canadians, shuts them out the next game. Yet tonight's a night off for the team. The team's defense is atrocious. This cannot be a winning team without defense being looked at. And I believe the new GM will do just that. But it is interesting. I kind of forgot about Colton White till for some reason I just remembered him a couple minutes ago. You know, is he a guy that we could bring back on the cheap and maybe deal away one of our more expensive defensemen and save some money and possibly get an improvement with Colton White? I think that's very possible. And what about Edwards? I mean, there are moves to shave some money off and potentially upgrade the defense and give them a different look. A lot of work for this new GM. A lot of work. They're going to be working overtime in their first summer on the job. That is for damn sure. Gleason says, I think the future is bright also applies to thinking every prospect is going to be a great player. Who knows what Nemitz does besides what he's giving us right now? Mercer has been the same for 5 years. Very different. Nemo is still very young, and he plays D, which does take longer to mature at the NHL level. But I don't say that every prospect is going to be a great player. I think Nemo will be, or at least very. I didn't say great. I think he's going to be very good. What does very good look like? I don't know. Time will tell. He's going to be a solid player somewhere. Sherry says Brady isn't going anywhere, guys. I'm not so sure about that. JP, if the Devils had any toughness, they would not have let the Flyers eliminate them without some blood and teeth being left on the ice. I'm a fan of going down swinging. I certainly like the fisticuffs. World's Worst Gamer, Keefe refused to sit or bench enough and struggled with goalie choices many a time. Those are the problems I had with him this season. I do like his press conferences, though, as he does rip players. He was pretty blunt on several occasions this season. And he even said, you know, we wilted and died and blah, 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 and the players have to execute. I like all of that. I think that's just straightforward truth-telling. Like, you guys have to execute, period. Chances were there. They didn't score. We got down, down a goal or two, and when the adversity came, they wilted and died. I think that's all very fair. And I do like that from him. Austin, this entire Nico Hischier subject is such BS, classic media manipulation to stoke bullshit outrage. I think with the quotes, that was certainly what happened. But like I said, kind of a separate but related issue is the fact that you can't deny the notion that if he does not either convey that he's going to resign here, or actually forget, saying if he does not sign an extension this summer, it would be malpractice not to trade him immediately. There's no point in letting it linger on and be a distraction. And is he going to sign or is he not going to sign? Potentially diminished value. God forbid he got hurt. Like, bottom line is, you talk to him this summer. If he does not sign the extension, you ship him. It's that simple. Sign or ship. The choice is yours. JP says, fire everyone fits hard with the exception of Marty. Make him the GM. I would give him a chance if he was interested. I've said it a million times. I don't think he wants the time commitment and all of the stress and the BS that goes with it. So I don't even think he's interested. But I am shocked at how many people on the Twitter were just flat out like outraged at the idea. You would have thought that I said maybe we should give Fitz a second chance. Like, people were bugging out. I don't know why. And like, oh, he doesn't know anything, as if the guy hasn't been intimately involved in hockey for 4 decades and playing on championship teams and around Hall of Famers and Hall of Fame executives. Like, yeah, and negotiating his own contracts. He totally knows nothing. Totally would be a nepotism hire for sure, just because he's a franchise legend. Like, people are clueless. Ben Jamin says, what I want is my game time $1 hot dog. Yeah, no, only 5:30 to 7. I didn't realize that when Daniel Amoya first posted it. And then he clarified. I'm like, wait a minute. 5:30 to 7. That's pretty damn stingy. Ted and Jay says it should have been Jake Allen tonight to start. Who is making these goalie start decisions? Well, who even cares? The season's been over, man. Gregory says Markey has to go. A 2027 third-round draft pick, a mid-tier prospect is all we could get and should pull the trigger on it. Give Dawes a chance and pick up a veteran stopgap like Freddie Anderson. Oh, God. That frightens me. But I don't – you think you're getting that without retaining on Markey? I mean, I guess a super desperate team might, but my God. A 2027 third round and a mid-tier prospect, huh? Yep. First year in Keefe's pro hockey tenure that he will not be making the playoffs. The 25-26 New Jersey Devils have ruined his perfect record. Austin says, I'd rather have Markstrom than Skinner. Seriously. No, I'm not on drugs. Brandon says, think about how bad the Devils are for our coach's first time not making it post-game. Wait, well, I don't know what you mean by that. Gleason, the chat still hasn't realized that Schmidt is not doing well. I saw his numbers, but I don't know everything behind it. On a two-way deal at a cheap price, I'll take a chance. I will certainly take a chance. And I think all of Vegas's goalies' numbers aren't great. Wedgwood, Anderson, David. Aces, Nason signed next year. Nason has next year left on his deal. One more year after this one, so next year. Gleason says Binnington is also a goalie that's worse than Markstrom right now. Are you going straight off of stats, though? Stats don't necessarily tell the whole story. Backs and racks, wasn't Dawes on waivers and no one picked him up? Yeah, earlier in the season that did happen. Justin Smith, how about Schmidt to Carolina? I would hate that. Yeah. If Schmidt went to the Canes, he would give us the rags treatment. Nico has said what? Jay Snow, I don't know how LaChance has been playing, but if he could become a physical fourth liner for us, that'd be perfect. Yeah, I think that's what a lot of people kind of hoped he would be. Bring him in and let's see what he's got. We only saw that one game from him a while back. Backs and Racks says, stop drafting Euros, Americans, Canadians, and Russians only. I'm not mad at the idea. David S. Ace, what do you think happens first? Devils name their new GM, or we hear Fitz is the new GM of Nashville? Ooh. I think the Devils name a president first. I don't know if the president then names the general manager before Fitz. I mean, I'm still going to be a little bit surprised if he gets the job in Nashville. I mean, World's Worst Gamer, if Shani comes here, he should ask to be immediately traded. Nico, why? Why should he get traded if Shani comes here? I don't follow that. David Chimes, the hockey guy, read something into Fitz parting comments in a video. I'll have to check that out because the comments were very brief. A couple sentences. Devil's Den, Austin, can someone explain why we think Nico is not committed to the team? I genuinely have no idea where this is coming from. Did we not learn anything from the Jack Hughes situation where we did this too? No, I just think because he didn't give Austin the warm and fuzzy. I think in that media availability today, people were expecting Nico to be like, I love the New Jersey Devils and I hope I'm here for life. And like, he just basically gave the very business-like, PC type answer where he said, I'm a New Jersey Devil. I have 1 year left. We'll see what happens. People took that and ran with it as if like Nico hates the Devils and he's definitely leaving, which is psychotic. But, given how everything has played out during his time here, I would not be shocked if he was interested in at least exploring free agency, and I would not blame him for it. But I don't think any sensible person would look at those quotes or watch the little clip of him talking and come to the logical conclusion that like he's definitely leaving. I would never say that. Now, is it a possibility? Absolutely. But I would never say it's a foregone conclusion based on his answer to the question. Devil's Den. So literally just from the statement where he said we have to see what happens. Great, wonderful. Watch the fans turn on Nico is insane. It's only maniacal ones that want to be outraged. S.J. Brady's wife is from New Jersey. Apparently, that's why many say Brady to New Jersey. He's also boys with Jack. These people are talking about predates. Hilarious. Actually, the issue is we don't have a replacement for Nico, like no centers. Well, obviously, in a world where you trade him, then you must go out and get a center, obviously. And you're not filling his shoes directly, but you would need to at least get a competent 2C. But we are all a little beaten down by making a move which creates a hole just because of Fitz's inactivity. But, cunning GMs can kind of get multiple pieces moving at once. And in the event that he is moved, and I hope he's not, but if he is, hopefully the new GM obviously brings in another center to slide into his spot. Ted says Prudential attendance night 16,514, stunning. The game sold out. I'm not shocked. The golden goal effect, kids. The golden goal effect. SJ says, what if Nico wants 12? Would you do it? That's probably up towards the high end of what I'd want to pay. I guess before I could definitively say yes or no, I'd have to know what other guys are looking for in free agency, as well as if you do dangle him in a trade, what would people, what type of return would you be looking at? But I don't think it's an outrageous amount. It's obviously not cheap. Brandon C says, I'm done with Nico. I'd rather have someone else. I think Nico has a losing mentality. I understand that. I don't think it's necessarily true, but he's been part of a losing, underachieving group for too long here. And the years go by so fast, folks. We're looking at another one just burned off the calendar. Another season in the books. Another kind of disaster, honestly. Yeah, it's dollar hot dog hour and a half. Richie says the average age of the 2003 Devils was 29 years, 6 days, making them one of the oldest teams to win the Cup. Vets and youth, enough of the too old crap. These people will never learn. Jason said you need Finns to win too. I disagree. I don't think you do. I don't think you need Finns to win. Not that I have anything against them, but I just don't think they're a prerequisite. I'm trying to think. Were there any Finns? I don't think there was any Finns on any of the Devils Cup teams. Brian, in respect, whatever Nico decides, he will be a player I keep an eye on and hope for success for until he retires. Completely agree. I'd be the same. John Fay, hopefully a new GM and probably president of Hockey Ops can turn this team around and change this team. That's what we're all hoping for. Ted, Nico was understandably disgusted in that post-game interview. Are you talking about tonight? I haven't seen any of that stuff yet, obviously. I jumped on here right away. I'll be watching all that afterwards. David Chimes, Schmid, 1 goal saved above expected, over 34 games played, not terrible for age, has lost the last 5 games he started. Damn, Vegas probably will keep him. John Fay, the first matchup has been locked in. Quinn Hughes and the Wild versus Robo and the Stars. Going to be a good one. Jason knows that he thinks Dallas wins. Justin, give me a grape or a soda. None of that stinking root beer. McDavid making 12.5, but he signed a super team friendly. You can't gauge what other guys are going to get based on that. I could see. Oh, Rendich says trading Nico if he wants 12 easily. I mean, what's your cutoff? $8.5 for Nico. There's no way he signs for that. That's borderline insulting. It's over, folks. Whoa, Austin Matthews, Michelli, OEL from Devils for Heischer, Nemitz, Mercer in the first. That's a massive blockbuster trade. It's a little wild. The Wild don't have great fortune. It's a tough first round. I'll be rooting for them. Brandon says, question is, do we trade Markstrom or we could dump his cap? He's got trade protections. So you're going to have to find somewhere he wants to go. It's a tough situation. I'm rooting for him to bounce back. Richie says he's not blockbuster. Would still like them to strongly consider Ryan O'Reilly. 25 goals. He says 50 assists. Yeah, wow. He's got 25 and 45 for 70. My God. Yeah, I don't think he wants to leave Nashville, though. Stars are your cup team. Picked him in the bracket last 3 years. Wow. Faye says Stars all the way. Ryan Respects is bound to happen eventually if I just keep picking them. Backs and Racks says 10 million max for Nico. That's an interesting number. I do think that's pretty low, given where the cap is and where it's going and what some other guys are getting paid. But okay, your limit's 10. Well, I think he's walking on that. We have a 3-way tie in the Atlantic, Tampa Bay, Montreal, Buffalo. Bloody finish. So it's going to be interesting to see who gets that title. Yes, it will. Ryan O'Reilly is staying in Nashville. I think so, too. He's got another year. Yeah, I mean, he signed that thing, what? Yep, next year is the last year. All right, folks, I'm going to run to the bathroom real quick. Back in a minute, we'll start winding down. Hit me with what you got. Suggestions, whatever you got. Just throw it out there, and we'll start winding down on the return. Be right back. All right. Ryan Respects is anything over 11 for Nico is where I draw the line. Okay. B. Abram. Leafs and Devils blockbuster trade incoming. Shannon as president who want Matthews. Captain for captain plus others. Oh, we just saw this before. Michelli and OEL for also Nemitz, Mercer in a first. Siegenthaler also. That's a monster deal. I would love Matthews. Interesting. Jason Oss is 10.5. I think that's a fair number. John Fay, why not just try to bridge Nico to a team friendly? That's not even an option. A bridge deal? Nico's not taking a bridge deal. I don't know where this whole bridge deal thing came from, but a guy like Nico is not taking a bridge deal. What are we talking about? It's out of the question. He's getting paid. 10.75. Okay. Backs and Racks. Nico is only really useful at faceoffs. Not gritty average shot. Definitely not captain material. I mean, come on. He might not be conventional gritty, but he's durable. He takes he takes a good beating a lot and gets tough matchups. I think people don't give him the credit he deserves. I think he's a very, very good player. Probably one of the more underrated centers in the league, I think. But, it seems like a lot of people are down on him. It's very interesting to me. I don't really know where this is coming from. I think you're clearly a better team with him than without, but people have soured. I mean, I guess it comes with the annual disappointments of this team. Bobby, thank you for the super, sir. Good evening, Ace. If there's one thing you can count on, it's how inconsistent the Devils are. We shut out the Habs one night and get blown out by the Flyers the next. This team look horrible, maybe due to the Fitz news, which is interesting. Like, was it that much of a shock to them? I mean, I guess it was the timing of it was, but it seemed like a lot of them knew that it was time. It just seemed like they were, disappointed in the moment because they knew they were part of it. But in the end, the guy left this roster to die year after year, and it just wasn't good enough. It wasn't good enough. I really wanted to see a much better response to the news of a GM getting fired, but it is what it is. Jay Snow, what do you think we do with the right side of our defense? So before Fitz got canned, it seemed like the writing was on the wall for Nemo to get traded. That's what I firmly believed would have happened if Fitz stayed on. Now, does a new GM come in here and, make Nemo feel a little more positively about the team and his role going forward? It certainly is possible, but that's, going to be entirely dependent on who this new GM is. So it's hard for me to predict. But going into the, if we were going into the offseason with Fitz, I firmly thought Nemo was going to be gone. But that's very much in question now. We don't even know who the GM is. Benjamin, my allergies to this team have returned. Snow, I don't know if they move Dougie and Nemo. I think it'd be crazy to do both. I do think there's a small chance you see it if this new GM is really trying to make big-time changes and free up some cap space. But I think you got to keep at least one of them. I think trading both of them would be nuts, but I just can't see both of them being back next year. I mean, how much money are you going to tie up on D? Backs and Racks think Nico will be better with the Devils if he's no longer captain. Completely disagree with that. I think stripping a guy of the C is just borderline maniacal. John Fay, with that money, Ace, we only have a $1 million cap space, $2 million after the season is over, and Dodonov walks. Brandon T says, I'm sure the locker room hated Fitz. I know Dylan hates him. Tatar hates him. I can imagine Jack and Luke hate him because of Quinn. I don't know where people are coming up with this, that Dylan hates him and Tatar's not even here. I mean, this is all a lot of hearsay kind of stuff, I think. I don't know where this is all coming from, but it didn't seem like Jack and Luke hated him today when they were talking. Either this is completely not true or they're very good actors. Jay Snow, Nemo still needs a lot of work. No way I'm paying him big money. What's your max on him defensively? Right and respect, big money, definitely not. And if he wants it, then yeah, he's gone. I feel like the cheapest you could possibly get him for is 7. Is that big money to you? Gregory, also the right side of defense. Hamilton's underlying numbers are still pretty good. Not true number 1 D-man, but definitely still top 4. Yeah, I'm a Dougie guy. John Fay, I agree with Snow. Besides, we can get bigger assets for Nemo than we would with Dougie or Dylan or Siegs. That I probably agree with. But if he wants big-time money, that also comes into play too. So if he's looking for a crazy payday, that could certainly diminish his value in a trade because the other team's going to be on the hook for that. Benjamin says, trade everyone but Grits and Pesci. Snow says, how do we know Dylan hates him? Rendich, there was some ticket rep who said Dilly yelled at Fitz. Like, I mean, this is a lot of kind of telephone stories, in my opinion. Ride and respect, 7 is fair. Yeah, I think 7's kind of fair. I mean, Luke got 9. We got Backs and Racks as $6 million for Nemo. Faye says $6 million. I don't think he'd be happy with that whatsoever. I think $6 million's a little bit hopeful, in my opinion. I don't think that's gonna get it done. I could be wrong. Bobby, the new GM needs to address this inconsistency issue. I don't know how you fix it, but it needs to be addressed. Yeah, Bobby, you fix it with bringing in players that are not going to take this shit. That's what you do. You bring in new players. You shake it up. You shake the damn thing up. I think we're long overdue for it. It's time for the true shakeup. Bobby says, oh, and can Brat only score on a breakaway when it's in a shootout? Deadly on the shootout. In-game breakaway is a different story. Jay Snow, Bridge Nemo, 4.5. Can't see Nemo taking a bridge deal either. Like, these bridge deals are just mostly fantasy, really, in my opinion. The Utah-Edmonton game is nuts. What do we got going on? 3-3 in the second. Lazar with a goal assisted by Henrique. Interesting. Nuclear shakeup. I'm with it. Backs and racks. We need more heavy hitters and real shooters. Yeah. Shoot first, guys. That's why I wanted Stammer so badly. Man, Stammer scored his 39th last night, folks. For all the people that said, Stammer's washed, man. What's wrong with you? Dude got his 39th goal last night. Unreal. 39 goals from Stammer. Jay Snow says if he doesn't get the bridge deal, he'll trade Nemo. I mean, I could see that. I like Nemo. He's another guy who's probably never going to live up to his draft spot. Way too early for a young defenseman to say that. Obviously, it's a possibility with anybody, but another reason why, just think about, it's just so many missteps by Fitz. I was screaming from the mountaintops to trade all these picks. Let the record show. I wanted to trade the number 2 pick that we took Nemo with. I wanted to trade the number 10 we took Salayev with. These all should have been draft picks that were traded for win-now pieces, and the last several seasons could have went entirely differently had we cashed in these picks for win-now pieces. But again, nothing you could do about it now. Water under the old bridge. Bobby says, speaking of, I don't know what that is. John Fay, Edmonton is going to get smoked if they make the playoffs with how bad the goaltending is. McDavid's probably just furious. I think after his deal's up, he'll be out. He gave Edmonton one final chance to get their stuff together, but I don't know. That's going to be an interesting scenario when that all plays out. Rendich, we need a true, pure shooter for power play 1. Dougie has the speed on the shot, but lacks another play prowess like the agility skill to keep the puck in the zone at the time. I would also like to see my man Timo freed. Give Timo some power play 1 time. Bobby, speaking of Nemo, people think that's also why Fitz was fired. He seemed to want to move on from Nemo, and some think ownership didn't want to move him and canned Fitz. One of many reasons. I don't think that he would get fired over that. I think they fired him. A lot of reasons. I think they were probably thinking about it for a while. They were planning on, in my opinion, waiting till the offseason to kind of feel it out. The whole ticket thing is interesting. Maybe, there was a ton of feedback and low renewals and people dropping off, citing the team just lacking any sort of true leadership or direction from the top levels as a reason not to renew. And maybe that played a small part in it. But I do think the biggest factor in the final straw was them watching other teams proactively making coaching moves and probably realized that if we do not act soon, we may miss our guy. Other teams are dropping guys like flies, and we can't wait anymore. Backs and racks, maybe the Oilers will take Markstrom. I don't know that he's going to want to go there. John Fay, if I was McDavid, I'd request to do something with the goaltending, or I walk and request a trade, even though that won't and can't happen anyway. I'm sure they had all these conversations prior to him signing that most recent deal. Trade Markstrom to Oilers for offensive players. you're not getting anything in return for him. Let's be real. Especially without retention. You'd be lucky to get a pick. Jay Snow, imagine Cutter Gauthier on this team instead of Nemo. Or of several guys that were drafted after him, or had we traded him for a win now piece with the number 2. Rendich also fumbling Quinn probably helped seal his fader was a factor. I'm sure that was probably taken into consideration as well. That's the fumble of a lifetime. And it's sad. Bobby, when do you think they dropped to New Jersey? August, July? That's an interesting one. I don't know. I'd have to go back and look. When do they? I don't remember when they typically release these things. You would hope that it's well in advance of the end of the season. My man Brian, what trade do you think it would take to get Quinn over the summer? The only way that happens, I was talking to Steve Domaniak about this last night, actually. The only way, in my opinion, that would ever happen is if Quinn literally looked Billy G in the face and was like, I 1,000%, not only am I not signing the extension now, I am 1,000% leaving in free agency next July. That is the only way I could even see it being considered by Billy G. And even if Quinn says that, I still think there's a chance that he would take him into the season, hope that the Wild do well, and Quinn at least helps get them to the playoff, firmly in a playoff spot leading up to the deadline. And then Billy G would probably try one last plea or sales pitch, hoping that Quinn changed his mind throughout the year and will sign. And then maybe at that point, if it still doesn't work at the deadline next year, then maybe he would say, I tried everything I could and now I have to fold and trade him. But it certainly would be expensive. I mean, regardless of when it happens or if it happens, you saw what Billy G had to give up to get him. And so you're talking about, what would he even go for? Even if, forget this summer, if he waited till next year's deadline, he would still probably go for, I guess it would matter if it was a sign and trade again type of scenario. But you're talking about a first round pick and a very good player at a minimum. The Devils have the pieces, but the thing is, you're talking about an asset that's not on the market. I can't see it happening whatsoever. Cannot see it happening whatsoever this summer. The deadline, if Quinn doesn't sign the extension, is far more likely, in my opinion. Quinn getting shopped at next year's deadline before the playoffs. But also would not be surprised if he signs the extension. I think Minnesota's rabid hockey city. He's tight with Billy G, general manager of Team USA. Some of his USA teammates are there. Gold medal winners and Brock Faber and Matt Boldy. And I'm sure outside of the Devils, it's probably one of the more desirable places that Quinn would want to be with those other USA guys. Faye says McDavid deserves a cup and will eventually win one, but I don't see it being with the Oilers. That's interesting. Ride and respect, maybe now we can get the OG striping back, referring to the thicker stripe at the bottom of the old jerseys. What a amazing jersey those were. Snow said they should have the new GM in place before the draft. Oh my God, dude. They have to have the GM way before that. The draft is like 2.5 months away. The new GM needs to be here well before that. Yeah, it's the end of June. Bobby, imagine Fitz drafting Wyatt Johnson instead of Mercer. Yeah, but these are things, listen, I've said this before too. I've buried Fitz for tons of things that I think were warranted, but I will defend him when then people start throwing like every single thing using hindsight. Like, I don't know off the top of my head where Wyatt Johnson was on most draft boards and central scouting and all that. Like, it's easy to go back now and look at guys drafted after him and be like, oh, this guy was so much better. This guy was better. But in the end, if those guys were nowhere near on the draft boards where we were picking, it's completely unrealistic to think that we were going to draft a guy there at the time based on how they're playing now. I think that's super unfair, and people love playing that game. But, the old adage of hindsight's 2020 is certainly true in a situation like that. Ride and respect, it won't all be done in a season, though. We have a few years of cleanup ahead of us, at least two. I think we're not nearly as far away as many people think. I think a lot can be done in an offseason by a motivated individual. Rendich, the only way I see the Wild trading him is like Boldy and Kaprizov have season-ending injuries, pre-trade deadline, and have no shot at the playoffs, and Quinn tells them he is testing free agency. Yeah, that would be obviously the perfect storm of events for him to be shopped. David S. Ace, do you think our chances increased on getting Quinn with a new GM, or has that ship sailed? I thought the ship sailed the second I saw the Quinn Hughes press conference, the first game after he played in Minnesota. I would say with Fitz being out, our chances slightly increased of bringing him here, because I do think, people with brains would look at what's happened here. And this goes for Nico Hischier as well. I talked about this earlier on the live. When you see how he just was inactive for the past few years, that's not appealing to to players that have any clue of what's going on. And I believe a lot of the players, again, including Nico, sat there and were like, what the hell is this guy doing? And you don't think that Quinn Hughes realizes, and the Hughes brothers and everyone else on the team realized, and ownership, that Vancouver was begging to trade Quinn Hughes to the Devils, and Fitz found a way to blow it. So I think him being gone is a positive in the lens of, would Quinn consider coming here? And I do believe he wants to play with his brothers, but I also think he wants to win, wants to be in a comfortable scenario. And I do think he does like Billy G. I do think he likes Minnesota. I think he likes the team. And I guess we will see how they fare in the playoffs. But I do think it is a very realistic possibility that he does sign that extension this summer. If he does not, then things are going to get super interesting. If he does not sign the extension and we go into next season with him playing without the extension, the chatter is going to be wild. But we'll see. I've given up on that idea about Quinn coming here. Would love to be wrong about it, but I don't think I will. What's going on, Evan? Faye says we have 5 or 6 years of mistakes made and done by Fitzy. I agree with that, but I do think they could be fixed much faster than they were made. Ethan says it's not a pre-date anymore now. It's a full-on date, Ace. I asked her out today at dinner. Wait, did you go to dinner tonight? I think you're basically married, my guy. I mean, so you went on a date with her tonight that you're not calling a date. So you went on a date tonight to ask her to upgrade tomorrow's pre-date to date status, even though in all of our minds it already was a date, because you're going out to dinner, going to the Devils game or Thursday night, and she's sleeping over. Do I have this right? Snow said, are they replacing the whole scouting department? I think all those dominoes are going to fall after the president comes in. And I guess they don't even, do they have to wait for the GM for this? I hope they just name the president, and the president's like, first order of business, you're fired, and just clears out everybody, and then brings on the new GM, and then builds the new team from there. John Fay, I think we get a new GM at the end of the season. It's interesting. Ride and respect. They need to get a guy in ASAP, start the work from day one of the offseason. I agree with that. McKinnon, Madigan, and Fletcher should be gone. I'm on board with that. Yeah, Faye, Matthews is being ran out by the media as well. The Canadian media is pretty brutal, and it seems like it's gotten a little bit worse post. And again, this could be just coincidence, but post USA defeating Canada in that gold medal game, it seems to have gotten a little bit more out of control. Fitz missed on basically every pick. That's unacceptable. David, watch Fitz go to Nashville and finally trade Stamkos to the Devils. I can't see it. Backs and racks, all we could hope for is that Minnesota loses in the first round, and maybe that will change Quinn's mind. Maybe. Jay Snow says, Ethan, you're engaged. He says, right stuff. Yo, I'm dying. John Fay also says, Ethan, you're engaged, my guy. No, I think the sleepover is tomorrow. Jason says, didn't she sleep at your house already? Good for you. What's going on, Eric? Pain and suffering. It's a long time till September. I'm so confused. Face. Ethan says, yes, Ace, I upgraded the pre-date to a date, but now we are dating, so it's a win. I'm so confused. Guys, I'm an old man. I don't understand it. I mean, but I'm glad I'm not alone. Most of you were like, we don't know what this guy's talking about. It seems like he's basically married. But Ethan, are you telling us you now have a girlfriend? I need to understand. You're dating. Is that your girlfriend? I don't know how these kids do this. Oh, I can't take it. This is so funny. Johnson. Yeah, pre-date. It was a date from the start, you fool. The pre-date was the date. Oh my God. David Ace, I think your best quote of the year was Quinn was handed to Fitz on a silver platter and he managed to fumble the ball. It's true. Rutherford came out in April and was like, we'd love to have Quinn here, but he wants to play with his brothers. And unless I bring them here. I made a video about it immediately after. I was like, Rutherford just told the world what we all already thought. He confirmed to the world at the Canucks end of the season press conference, Quinn Hughes, we would love to keep him here, but there's some things beyond our control, and he wants to play with his brothers. He was literally priming the Canucks fans, warning them, giving them the first warning that, like, we're going to try to keep Quinn here, but unfortunately, we probably can't because we're in a losing scenario because he wants to play with his brothers. He literally told the world that. And then Fitz wasn't ready when the time came. And it is the biggest organizational fumble in Devils history. Faye wants to know if he's going to be invited to the wedding. Eden says, yes, Ace, now is my girl. Okay, so now you're in a relationship. This happens so fast. It all happens so fast. Ryan and respect. Let's all have a good summer and pray that those behind the scenes are working on coming back with a watchable product. All we could do. It's all we could do. Completely agree. Completely agree. They need to get this hire right, need to get the right president in here, and they need to get the right GM, and then they got to start making these tweaks. Who's coming back? Who's not? What will the 26, 27 New Jersey Devils look like? Maria D says, classic year of commitment. I mean, Maria, we graduated from pre-date to full-blown relationship. I mean, the pre-date didn't even happen. It was on the books. We had a pre-date on the books, and now we have a full-blown relationship. Eric, how is this roster this bad? There's obvious holes, but I mean, keep repeating the same thing. We are a one-man band right now. Jack Hughes. The team is competitive with Jack Hughes. Without Jack Hughes, dog doo-doo. Jay Snow's giving Ethan the stick taps. Ethan says, John Payne, Ace, or my groomsmen and Fitz can be the flower girl. Ride and respect. Entire team underachieved and no one stepped up. Positions we didn't think were holes became one. Yeah, isn't it funny how, I forget, one of the reporters in training camp, I think, said something to Fitz about offense or scoring, and he was like, I'm not worried about scoring. Ha, 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 ha. And what do you know? Lo and behold, the season goes on, and you look at this team, and unequivocally, the biggest issue was goal scoring. And it's funny that Fitz made that comment, but I think most of us were kind of on the same page. Like, goal scoring probably is not our biggest concern going into the season, but it ended up being a massive, massive problem. With no Jack Hughes, the offense stale. And even with Jack Hughes on some nights, it couldn't get going. Got to be fixed. Cannot be fully reliant on Jack Hughes being healthy to be competitive. I'm not expecting the team maybe not to skip a beat, at least a beat if he goes down, but you cannot just completely implode. Very big difference between a small dip in play and just completely crashing out, and we completely crashed out. Who's the ring bearer? Sean says, Ace, who's the new GM? I don't know yet. We don't know. We sit and wait. Lots of speculation and rumors being thrown out there, but nothing credible outside of a few legitimate reporter types saying that they're hearing Shanny, but I was hoping to hear the confirmation today. Maybe we hear it tomorrow. Maybe it doesn't come for a while, But like I said before, I am not I don't think time is your friend here. You know, the competition can increase and someone could come steal your target. Just get it done. Snow says we need some pricks on this team. I would love Bertuzzi. Brady, obviously, is my number one. I would love Nyes. There's a couple other guys out there that would certainly be of interest to me. Faye says I'm on board as long as I can put pucks in the back of the net. Rendich Fitz also stated he does not look at the standings in that random presser he had. Yeah, it was pretty wild when he said that. Ride and respect, teams fall back all the time when their top players out, but there's no excuse for what we saw this year. It was a complete, we just bombed. Eric says, Keith, you want to keep him. I would lean towards keeping him personally. I know many will disagree. But I think he was pretty much abandoned by the general manager, and the players just did not get it done. You want to stream the wedding, huh? Eric, it was Eastern Conference Finals or bust for me this season. I'm heartbroken. Same. I was fully out there with the pom-poms saying Eastern Conference Finals or bust. I'm not hiding from it. I said that is what we need to do. That should be the goal, and that was my prediction. And we don't even make the playoffs. Chicago cut. Sean says, who do you think is safe with our core? For me, the only people that are truly safe with a new GM coming in now are the brothers Hughes. Jack and Luke. I think everybody else, obviously there's guys with trade protection, so that may bail them out. But in terms of who this new GM may look to potentially trade, I think everybody's is a candidate at the moment. John Fay, we have next season. It's going to be a good one, as next season we jump to 84 games. Austin says Keith deserves at least one more year with the team under a new GM. I agree with that. Ryan and respect says Jack is only the true safe one. Well, by proxy, Luke also is. Ethan says, Ace, I need to be careful also because she's becoming a lawyer, so she will take all my money. Interesting. Faye also agrees like Keith get one more season. Faye, the guy's never missed the playoffs until the season. I say give him one more year and see what he could do. Ryan and respect. In fact, Jack is the only truly untouchable one on this team. Luke by extension, but not because of his play. Agree with that. Snow says I'd take Evander Kane. At the right price, I would. What is his contract again? A lot of people want no parts of that, but I would dabble. At the right price, I'd take a shot. But we have to have somebody who could kind of control him. I'm trying to think who would be a strong enough voice in the locker room to be like, calm down, young man. Oh, he's unrestricted this summer. He's 34. Man, what would he sign for? I would try to get him for dirt. I'm sure there's some other teams that would throw him a couple bucks. David S., any chance we could bring Miles Wood back to fill Stephen Nason's spot on the third line? He's too injury prone. I like him, but I feel like he's constantly hurt. Maria D., does Keith even want to stay? We broke his making the playoffs record. Well, he's under contract for, I believe, he definitely is under contract, so it's not like he's going to leave. He wants to get his money. He's probably mad at Fitz and the team. And if I was Keith, I'd be furious. I'd be like, the GM failed me, and so did the players. I think that's realistically what happened here. And I'd like to see him get another chance. And hopefully Jack stays healthy and this team could look good. Yeah, he's getting evaluated at the end of the season. Eric, I can't imagine losing Nico, but who knows? I mean, I've already kind of mentally started preparing for a world where he's not a Devil. I hope it doesn't happen, but I think there's a chance. Ride and respect. Let her make all the money for you and become a stay-at-home dad. Yeah, he's a UFA of Evander Kane. Yeah, what kind of money is he going to get? He's 34. Faces, I think Kane would fit greatly on this team. Ride and respect is telling him that lawyer money could be no joke. Ethan, Evander Kane will be perfect in Atlantic City. That's the selling point. He's got a lot of kind of interesting backstories and things attached to him. Some of them pretty messy, but I don't care about that. I just want guys that can help us win. Throw a couple shekels at him. Come over. We got casinos and strip clubs. Man, what would it really take to get him? Is there any way he signs for like $3 million? Like a little 2.5. John Face says, if we could get Kane for dirt cheap, then I'm bored with asking him what he wants. He could score goals, which is what we need. He has some speed and grit, knows what it takes to win. Wait, Faye, you do realize he's talking about Evander Kane and not Patty Kane, right? Because now Eric says, bring Patty Kane. What is... I would geek out for that, even if he was 60. One of the greatest, if not the greatest, American-born player of all time. 37. He's got 53 points in 63 games this year. 15 goals and 38 assists. I mean, shit. That's not terrible. Ooh. He only signed that 1-year deal. Yeah, he's unrestricted. Super interesting on what his plans are. Is he playing? And that would be a win now move. That would be a win now move. And he loves Jack. He's one. So it's funny. I don't know if you guys saw the interview, and I don't remember which one it was on. I've watched so much Jack interviews. After the Olympics. But I think his father was like, make sure you answer Patty Kane. Like Jack said he had a million texts, but the one guy he called back or texted back was Patrick Kane. Interesting. Could you get him on the excitement of make a late push in your career with your American kind of the next generation, Jack Hughes? I would take Patrick Kane in our top 6. I mean, are you kidding me? On a cheap deal? Are you guys going to tell me you wouldn't take a shot on him for a cheap deal? That'd be insane. And maybe I am a little bit of a, nostalgic, especially for USA guys and all that. But he's producing in his old age. That's a win now move. At a cheap price, I would take him for our top 6. Absolutely. If he would sign here for, what did he sign for last year? He signed for $3 million. Imagine he was like, I'm dying to play on Jack's team. I'll sign for like $1 million or $1.5 million. Snow, tell me you wouldn't take Patrick Kane. You wouldn't take Patrick Kane on a cheap deal. He's a legitimate top 6 guy at his age. I would take him. Cheap deal. Kane is a heavy hitter, gritty, and can shoot. I've liked Kane for a while. I like Bertuzzi. I know a lot of people, this will be controversial. At the right price, I would take a shot on Max Domi. Any one of these guys that could score even a little bit and bring the nastiness and will drag the boys into the brawl, sign me up. Pride and respect have to hope the potential to play with Golden Boy Jack Hughes is more of a selling point for players now than it has ever been before. Some players won't give a shit at all, but some will. Some definitely will, but some will not. Everyone's moved by different things. But I think the overall allure of the team being competitive and hopefully turning the corner to hopefully push for a cup would be the biggest draw of all. Sean says, ready for Lou to be president of Hockey Ops. I can't see it, but I would love it. Snow says, I'm good on Patty Kane. Interesting. Faye, besides Evander Kane is a win now piece. Same with Patty Kane. I agree. Those are win now pieces. Snow, that makes our top 6 softer. Right now we have a top 4, right? So if you add, let's just play hypotheticals, a guy like Patty Kane and Brady Tkachuk, how would you feel about our roster overall? I mean, assuming there's a couple small tinkerings in the bottom 6, but if your major moves were getting Brady and getting Patrick Kane, I mean, how would you not salivate over that? I would be drooling. Ride and respect, I would take an aging Patty Kane for half the price of Markey's contract. That was last year, $3 million. I think it's time for Jack to start making recruitment calls, because this is something, I don't know how often it happens in hockey. We've heard stories over the years of guys in other sports doing it, calling free agents and kind of making pitches on behalf of teams. And we've seen Jack Hughes pushing everything from, Raising Cane's Chicken to all these endorsement deals, Polo Ralph Lauren. He needs to get on the horn this summer and become an assistant general manager to whoever the general manager is, and start recruiting some of these guys and pushing New Jersey on them. I think in the past we've heard stories of Marty calling a couple guys during the Lou days. John Fay, didn't Evander Kane also make it to the finals 2 times with the Oilers, so he has that playoff experience? He's been in a lot of playoff games. Evander Kane is a big win now piece, and he would fit with Connor Brown, who also played for the Oilers and made the finals with them. Jay Snow, if you bring Brady, sure, you can bring Patty and his dad too if you want. Whose dad? David S. Ace, now that we all can agree Jack grew up and matured after the Olympics, do you think he'll ever tell us the real story of what happened at Chicago Cut? I mean, they say he cut his hand on glass, broken glass. I mean, I don't know. People were like, oh, he was drunk. I mean, at this point, who cares? It's over. It happened. We'll probably never know exactly what happened, but like, it doesn't even really matter, in my opinion. But I know people just want juicy gossip. But man, I forgot about Patrick Kane. I have to text Steve the Maniac. John Fay, listen, we could get the oldest guy in the league, but if he could score goals, play the body, and has grit and everything else we need, I would sign him. Listen, I would obviously those are elements and characteristics of players that I would like to get, but certain guys may not have those elements, but bring other things. And I think getting a bona fide winner and guy like Patrick Kane, who's seen it all, having him around a guy like Jack and some of the other young kids on a daily basis, I think would be absolutely phenomenal. And it may even kind of get the juices flowing for Patty Kane and get you the best version of him. And aside, I would geek out because he's a legend who's been one of the best American players, obviously, of all time. Anytime an all-time great could have even a small stint in a New Jersey Devils jersey. As a Devils fan, it's a special treat. We've seen it in the past with guys like Jaromir Jagr, Dougie Gilmore, John Van Beesbrook, Dave Andrechuk, Brendan Shanahan 2.0. Anytime you get these legendary type figures, it's always a fun time. And so aside from that element of it, I do think Patrick Kane will produce points and he will help kind of guide and lead this team along with Jack and whoever else is in those positions. And I think it could be a really fun thing. Jay Snow, the Maniac was going nuts. The Maniac has wanted Fitz gone for so long. For so long. I think the Maniac probably cried tears of joy when he saw the news. It was a moment that we've both talked about for a very long time and something that we really wanted to see so that our own internal healing process, as well as the healing process of this organization, can start to take place. Then and only then it could begin to try to get this thing back on the rails. And now hope has been restored. We're now both back on. Unfortunately, we would talk about potential things and then be like, yeah, but it'll never happen because of Fitz. Now we're starting to believe that some of these things maybe could happen with a real GM in place. He was on once. I've tried to get him back on. You're talking about the Maniac? He called in forever ago. I've been trying to get him back on, and he won't do it. It's very frustrating. One of the biggest disappointments of my life. I always envisioned doing at least a weekly show with Steve the Maniac, and he has left me out to dry, and I don't know what the deal is, but yeah, it's annoying. He doesn't want to do it. I've tried a bunch of times. I've even sneak attack called him and was just going to put him on the spot, but I think he kind of knew and didn't answer my call. Always thought we'd do a show, but, What are you going to do? Backs and racks, I think another element we all forget is that we need more good puck handlers, not Mercer and Timo. Oh, well, this picked up again. Sean, all that matters now is we get a front office that changes the culture of the organization. Then we retool for October. I like that idea. Faye, also Patty Kane never misses on a breakaway, which is something that killed us this season many times. We have to be one of the worst breakaway converting teams in the league. It felt like every game we had a couple, and we're like, no. And again, when I talk about Sheldon Keefe, and when you talk about, oh, Keefe's system sucks and blah, 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 and it's Keefe's fault. How many breakaways alone did we have that guys couldn't score? Like, how is that Keefe's fault? How are you going to blame Keefe for the team's inability to score on a shootout? Like, I mean, a breakaway. 2-on-1s missed, open nets, pucks in the crease, and it's just too many things. I do hope he gets at least one season under the new GM. We'll see how that all goes. Here, Bratter shooting it over the net. Yes, no, we couldn't believe it was real either. I froze in my tracks and then had to get moving to get onto the live. Faye says, if we pot all of our breakaways, who knows where we would be? At least probably still alive and much closer to a playoff spot. It was only one time, Snow. 4 high dangers all game is pretty pitiful. David, October sounds so far away. We're only in the first week of April. This sucks. Well, it's not October. Someone pointed out, I totally forgot. Because of the 84-game season, the season will start in late September. So it's not as long of an off season, but it is obviously very long when your season is over. You know. All right, guys, that's it. Devils with a pathetic season-ending performance. There you see it. Losing to the Flyers by a score of 5-1. Officially eliminated from playoff contention. Whew. I've been in off-season mode for quite some time, but wow. We look forward to late September, but in the meantime, we have a president search going on, a general manager search. Hopefully that all gets sorted out sooner than later. But it's all over, guys. We are toast. We are toast. And we just look forward to next season. Thursday taking on Sidney Crosby and the Pittsburgh Penguins. Sid is such a legend. Such a legend. And Sid and Gino will be playoff bound once again. But I'm a summer kid. I do like the summer stuff, but I will miss my New Jersey Devils hockey. All right, but that's it, guys. Appreciate everybody for coming out. Sad day, but guys, we're getting a new GM soon and a new president, and hopefully a truly bright future for this organization. Thank you all for watching. I love you all. Like, comment, subscribe, and all that jazz. Until next time, friends, let's go. Devils.